What's up everybody, True Evil here, back with another Arknights Endfield video, and today what we're going to be talking about is who you should be using your 6-star selector ticket on. We're going to be getting this tomorrow as a part of a quick update that adds a ton of quality of life changes to the game. So many of these things were things that I personally had a little bit of annoyance on, and they're fixing a ton of them. So I'm really appreciating that. There's too many things I think to list because I really just want to talk about the selector ticket. So I'm going to leave in the description a link to the developer note. So without further ado, let's talk about who you should be using that selector on. Before we talk about which character to use the selector ticket on, I do want to briefly talk about dupes, because we do get Ardalia for free on day 3, and you might be saying to yourself, well, the game gives us the best standard banner character in the game, why not just use the selector dupe to, well, make the best character stronger? And here I would advise to not do this, and the reason why is a couple of reasons. One, dupes in Arknights Endfield are much more underwhelming than dupes in other games in the similar vein as this. And as you can see from what this ability does with the first dupe, it's a plus 8% extra susceptibility when you consume corrosion. So basically you use the combo skill and then you use the battle skill. And it's very minuscule damage increase, so I really highly advise against doing this. So just getting that off the table. Now, the next thing I would like to mention is how the banners work in this game. On the limited banner, you can pull multiple of the standard characters, and that means that you're most likely going to be getting a lot of dupes in this game from just pulling on the limited banner. So in that sense, I don't think it's worth pulling dupes right now. What you're going to want to do is pull characters that you don't already have. So let's talk about the ones that I think are the best ones to get off the selector. And how this is going to work is basically, if you already have the character I think is the best one, then the next one down the line is going to be the best. Let's start this list by talking about the unit I think is the best unit for the 6-star selector, which is Pog. And the reason for it is that the game gives you almost every unit in the physical team for free. We get Ardalia with Stanza, we get Inman, we get Chin. They just give us so many things, and we're just missing one unit to really make the physical team pop off. Now, you can use Dapan as a main DPS, but you're going to notice the SP recovery is lacking. So if you get in a situation where you need to break that red circle, a lot of the times you might be running out if the battle is lasting for longer than a minute. So it's really nice to have Pog to recover. Also, he applies breach, and he's just a great way to just consume your vulnerability stacks, which happens frequently if you're using Chin. So he's just an amazing unit for what we're already given, and it's just a quality of life. Now, you can use the physical team with like Lefeng instead of Pog. It's just you're going to have to time your skills much more, and you're just going to have to hold off on the skills and save your juice, which sometimes is fun, but honestly, sometimes I just want to spam skills, and that's what Pog is great at. He's going to just be a huge unit and make the game easy mode. The next best unit to use your selector ticket on after Pog is going to be Lefeng, and the reason for it is he has arguably the best battle skill on the physical team. In my opinion, it's a huge AoE, it applies knockdown, and not only that, but they don't have vulnerability stacks, they get physical susceptibility, which just makes you do more damage with the physical team. It's huge and it's incredibly noticeable. I highly recommend Lefeng on the physical team, and more importantly, if they do add an in-game mode that is sort of like a time trial, you may want to forego a healer and maximize on your damage, and Lefeng applying that physical susceptibility with Pog and the SP recovery, and then Chin applying tons of stagger and just making it so all your combos pop off, and Inman doing damage. It's just going to make a team that can obliterate hopefully anything in the end game, as well as it's just going to make your dailies incredibly fast. This team can pretty much clear everything that I've done at the end of the line within like 3 3 to 5 seconds basically. It's an absolutely insane team, insane amounts of damage, definitely worth picking up if you have Pog already. After you have Pog and Lefang, the next unit that you're going to use your Selector on is going to be a personal opinion, in my opinion. Now, I don't think Ardalia is a choice because we already got her, so it's between Last Rite and Ember. Now, the thing with Ember is that she is the second best healer shielder in the game. But the problem with that is Ardalia is just better than anything. The thing we want to note here, though, is that when they do add an in-game combat mode, if we do need survivability and a healer on both teams, Ember is going to be that second healer for the second team. So it might be worth picking up Ember just in case if you need those shields. And her shields are really great. The problem with her, though, is besides that shield, she's quite useless on all other fronts from my personal opinion and testing. So it's hard to recommend her unless if you just need a healer when they add modes where you need 2 teams. And that's going to be pretty important because almost every team functions with Ardalia, so you need a team that, functions without Ardalia. Now you can forego Ember and just use the electric team that just doesn't use a healer. This is going to be a personal preference. So if you do need that heal, Ember is your choice. Now, the last unit we're going to talk about is Last Rite, and she is a great DPS, but the problem with getting her as a Selector at the 2-week mark is that, you've already used your resources on your main team, and Last Rite is going to need some cryo-specific sub-DPSs to really pop off majorly, and that means not only are you going to have to level up Last Rite, but you're going to have to level up multiple other characters that are specific with her and you've most likely not touched. And if you're like me, you're probably low on resources right now, so, I just can't level up 3 characters willy-nilly, as well as when they do add that in-game mode, she does need Ardalia in her team, and right now I already have a team with Ardalia, so it's a hard sell. Not only am I going to have to level up multiple characters that are specific for her, but also she shares the healer that is in all the other teams. So in that case, she would have definitely been a Selector target if the game we all started with the Selector and it was like a day 1, day 2, day 3 thing, but because of how the Selector came and it's 2 weeks late, I can't recommend to use her because, your resources are going to be spread so thin, it's going to be a miserable experience for a couple of weeks. Now, I can see pulling her just because she is a really good waifu. Honestly, her character model is arguably the best in the game. But the thing is, I just don't want to be low on resources for 2 weeks and feel miserable. And because of that, I'm going to have to pass on her. But if we're going to need to check the Selector because we may be able to hold off on it. So it might be a good idea if you already have Pog and Lefang, and when you pull the next banner character to see who you get from the standard banner on those pulls, and then be like, oh, I'm going to pull Last Rite now, I'm going to pull Ember now, and I would just hold the Selector ticket personally until in-game gets announced and it's like, do I need another shielder healer? I'm going to get Ember. Do I need another DPS? I'm going to get Last Rite. That's going to be the best way to handle it on these lower 2, and then the top 2 I just think make the physical team amazing. So those are my suggestions. Let me know in the comments if that was helpful, and please press that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribing. Peace out.